So this, again, this bit, I'm going to sketch it out in reverse before instead of the head. I just kind of made a little bit of a selection there. I'm going to try just using the elliptical shape just again to show it to you. Again, these are all numbered, located all the way across. 3/8 is the one that I initially set up with. So we'll see what happens there. But this is the section, and as it rotates itself across, this is where we'll go. So I'll just place this in here for this section. Here's the 3/8 part. I drew just a vertical line, actually not vertical, but to this isometric section. I'm just going to put that initial circle in that's going to represent a little bit of the ending of the shaft of the screwdriver. And then up a little further, line that up, and just as it goes into the drill bit. So these two circles, the tangent, just the outside connection of this as best I can. And looking at the drawing, I know it's going to be a heavy line, so I'm just going to go ahead and taper it on to that section. And do the same on this side. So it's going from a little bit of the freehand drawing just to clean it up with this drill bit, just to show that section. When it gets to this end, if I found the center line, or if I created it there, there's going to be a rectangular shape, still using the 30-degree line in there, so I can work off of that a little bit, and a little bit offsetting it. So I'm just making the offset for that piece, and this is going to taper out. So it's just looking at the proportion, not making it too big. Just set it out to here, and these are tapering in. So these are just an arbitrary angle, and then trying to keep it parallel with each one that it corresponds to. So that becomes the bit part that goes up in the side. When it gets further down to this section, you can see it goes from a round section, now it gets squished down here and flattens itself out and tapers itself. So I'm going to extend the taper just a little bit. It has an edge to it, which is going to have the pieces that are connected to this, and give this a little bit of a thickness to it. And right where this corner is symmetrical on either side. So that's something you want to be aware of, as it creates that symmetry on either side of your drawing. And this blending up into here. So right here is where the part goes from pretty much a cylinder into a flattened, stamped out piece. So I'm just going to arch it right there. So for the most part, there's the linear section, and now it's just a matter of doing the shaded part or taking a look again. These aren't perfectly, it's been used, so these parts are rounded off, so I'm just going to round that off just like a widget would do in Illustrator, and just kind of curve these corners off. Come down to the tip of the handle of this. It's a little tapered in there, so I could push that a little further and curve some of these corners as it comes up, just to make it a little easier to send, because as a sculpture and a drawing where things meet kind of gives you a pretty good indication of the sketch. So even before I use a straight edge, I'll just kind of block in the shading, just as you would, kind of taking half the distance, forcing the shadows light and dark, letting some of the textures underneath here get darkened in. This has a little highlight. Even the outside edge, just kind of blending it ever so lightly to build that piece up. So there's kind of a beginning selection. It still has textures and, like I said, the oxidized rusting pieces here, finding these edges. And now I can really go in and heavy up the values. And this is what I'm trying to get you to take a look at, using this straight edge to draw up against if it's going to have that texture. Even if I treat it kind of haphazardly here, I can always go back and smooth out any of the parts or pieces. Coming to the top of this one, I've changed it slightly so I can see two sides of it. I like to see both. And here I'll use the straight edge to find that corner, flip it around the other side to get some of the textures, and again letting the lines go with the direction for that piece. Here you can see where this isn't a perfect connection, kind of tapers off. And then trying to build up, again, this cylindrical piece kind of straight. Now try to use it with these types of ideas, really building up the value. So finding that edge and finding the base tone. And just giving a little more pressure, really bring it out. And find the opposite end and let that blend. Give you that section. So real quickly, that illusion of that rounded texture is going to show up. And just finding this edge here. So right here there's a kind of a light colored edge, so you really want to push those ideas there. And so now it's a combination of the texture and the value. Change pencil here, get a crisper edge. If you do the texture lines, just go with the contour and the cross contour, show a little reflection there. You can add style to it. You're just using it to the straight edge to variably butt up against here. This pencil is just an H lead, so it's a little harder style, so I can keep the point. Build that section up. Three pieces, kind of very similar in their design. I'm trying to get you to really push that design with the texture there.